Shalom, guys. What's going on? What is going on today? How are you doing? It's beautiful outside where I am. Praise Yah. The earth is Yah's and the fullness thereof, the world and those that dwell therein. And all these things he made with his word. We can give him glory and praise and honor, for he is powerful. All right, so we are in Genesis chapter 42 today, and we're going to see a lot in this. We're going to see a lot in this, and we're going to get right into it. I hope that you enjoy this. I hope you're edified by it. Like, share, and subscribe that others may hear our Father's words. So getting right into Genesis chapter 42, I'll be reading from 1 through 6 to start off. And then we're going to see some things in this. So starting in verse 1, it says, "Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do you look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, or get you down there, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob, sent not with his brethren. For he said, Lest peradventure, or lest perhaps mischief befall him." Verse 5, "And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth." What do we see right here? We see his brothers coming down to Egypt. They're coming to buy corn. And we see him in verse 6, basically the prophecy being fulfilled, that what Joseph had ended up dreaming is coming to pass now. What can we learn from that? That Yah, he declares the end from the beginning, as it says in the book of Isaiah. We can see also that the Father is for the good of others. He's for the good of others, because Joseph is the one who's helping his brethren with this corn. He's for the good of his people. He's for the good of his household. He's for the good of his people, because Joseph is sent beforehand to a situation that he doesn't even necessarily see right off how it's going to come to pass, but he has this dream. We know all things work together for good to those who love Yah. We know all things work together for good to those who love Elohim, who are called according to his purpose. We know this. So he is sent to a land. He is a captive. He is a slave. Okay, he is put in these situations unjustly. When the woman wanted to sleep with Joseph, he got put in jail and prison unjustly. He actually didn't do those things. So in this waiting before Yah brings his word to pass, that Joseph is being tried greatly. This is how we are pruned. This is how we are pruned. This is how we are molded. This is how we are fashioned. In the book of Jeremiah 18, Yah says, let's go there. In Jeremiah chapter 18. Jeremiah chapter 18. Jeremiah chapter 18. Yeah, Jeremiah chapter 18. Let's go there, because this is where we are molded. The trials that Yah allows in our lives, some of these testings before his word comes to pass. If he's given us a word, or we know that something's going to come to pass, this is where we're tried. If we go to the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 18, in verse 1, it says, "The word which came to Jeremiah from Yah, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels," or he did a work on the wheels. "And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, and it as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of Yah came to me, saying, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter, saith Yah? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel." Why did Yah tell Jeremiah to go to this place? Then I will speak to you. When you go to this place, then I will speak to you. I want you to see what I'm doing, but I want you to see what I'm doing when you get there. Not before you get there, but when you get there. Could he have just said this? As you know, Jeremiah, you know what a potter does to the clay, right? And I'm sure Jeremiah would have said, yes, I do know. But he did not tell him that there. He said, I want you to go to the potter's house, and there I will speak to you. Okay, so Joseph was given this dream that his brother was going to bow down to him, and it's coming to pass in Genesis. But before he got there, before he got to that place, he had the word, but he had to get there to see the word come to pass. Okay, the word come to pass. He had to get there to see that. And if we look at another verse in the book of Psalm, chapter 104, Psalm chapter 104, starting in verse 17, it says, speaking of Joseph, he sent a man before them, the children of Israel, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron until the time that his word came. The word of Yah tried him. The word of Yah tried him. The word of Yah tries us. The word of Yah tries us until his word tried him. Until his word came, the word of Yah tried him. Okay? Joseph was faithful. So we have to apply these things to our lives by his grace. Joseph was faithful because now we see, back in Genesis 42 now we see Joseph's word, Yah's word coming to pass. His brethren are bound down. And we know patience works experience. We get experience through patience. We get experience through patience. And by that experience, we can edify our brothers who hasn't went through those situations. Like, this is how Yah dealt with me. He was with me through it all. You see that? Romans chapter 5, verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. You see that? Patience, tribulation works patience, because Yah doesn't pull us out of them quick all the time. And from that patience that we get into tribulation, that works experience. And from that experience, hope. And through all those things, we can edify one another when we haven't been in those type of situations, and when we may be down and not knowing or not seeing past what's going on. And then Yah brings these things to pass. And it's like, okay, now I see what you've been trying to do in my life. Okay, now I see what you were trying to do. I didn't see it beforehand, but I knew you would do it because you spoke. Now I understand. So then the next trial we get in, we can just say, okay, I know, I've seen you. I know you. You know, isn't that life eternal? John 17, verse 3, this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true Elohim, and Yeshua whom you have sent. This is life eternal, that they might know thee. Of course, we know him by keeping his commands, it says in 1 John, but it's also a knowing that causes a man to trust. A knowing that causes a man to trust. You don't trust who you don't know, right? You don't just let anybody in your house, right? You don't trust who you don't know, okay? So now let's go to back to Genesis chapter 42. Back to Genesis chapter 42 now. And we're going to look at something when Joseph begins to talk with his brethren. We're going to start at verse 9. It says, and Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said to them, ye are spies to see the nakedness of the land. Ye are come, or you're come to see the nakedness of the land. Verse 10, and they said unto him, nay, my master, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, nay, but to see the nakedness of the land you are come. Verse 13, and they said, thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. And Joseph said unto them, that is it that I spake unto you, saying, ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved by the life of Pharaoh. Ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither, or come here. Send one of you, and let you fetch your brother, and you shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. And he put them all together in toward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the third day, this do and live, for I fear Elohim. Verse 19, if ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go and carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me. So shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. and they did so. Okay, so you have all this going on. You have all this going on that they're doing. Joseph speaking to them, and it's interesting in verse 11, verse 16, and verse 19. Joseph says something about them. Verse 11: We are all one man's sons, and the sons said, "We are true men, your servants and no spies." Verse 16. Joseph is the one who says, we're going to see whether there's any truth in you, because they said we're true men. Joseph knows what they did. This is Joseph. They don't know that this is Joseph. And they're saying we're true men. So really we can see the character change through time of the brothers. They've changed. And if we go on further in the text, we know they are changed men. They are repentant. They're sorry for what they did to Joseph. Not trying to skip too much ahead, but they're remorseful of their sin toward their brother. And you can see it in their conduct. You can see it in their words. You can see it in the intercession of Judah, which is beautiful. I don't want to go too far into that, but they say in verse 11, we are one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. Verse 16, Joseph then says, that your words may be proved whether there be any truth in you. You know, he's trying his brothers right here. The Father tries us, okay? The Messiah tries us. Then again in verse 19, it says, Joseph said unto them, the third day, this do and live, for I fear Elohim, if you be true men. Okay? What is this about this true men? And if we go on, you know, he tells them to go take corn to their land. Then if we go on even to verse 31, he begins to talk again, and it says, I'll start from 29. It says, and they came unto Jacob their father, unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell them, befell unto them, saying, the man who is the master of the land, or the Adon of the land, spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, we are true men. We see this 4 times. It's speaking of true men. Verse 33. And the man, the Adon, or the master of the country, said unto us, hereby shall I know that you are true men, or honest men, depending on the translation that you're reading from. Verse 34, and bring your youngest brother unto me, then I shall know that you are no spies, but that you are true men. I keep saying this because it's emphasis on this through their dialogue about being a true man or an honest man. And is it not emphasis on our lives? Does the Father desire us to be true men? We're about to look at what it means to be a true man. It's spoken of 6 times in these 6 verses. Verse 11, verse 16, 19, 31, 33, and 34 in Genesis 42 about being honest men or true men. What does it mean to be a true man? What does it mean to be a true man or a true woman? Because a woman can apply this to herself as well. What does it mean? What does it mean? Okay? What does it mean? First, to be a true man or a true woman, when we look at verse 16, when it says, this is Joseph speaking to them, send one of you and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved whether there be any truth in you. Okay, so truth has to be in us for us to be true men and women. Truth has to be in us. It can't just be professed. We have to have truth in us. And praise God that that's his will for us. We have to have the truth in us. There is no change that happens to a man or a woman that is lasting when the truth is only on the outside. The truth has to be in us, okay? Let's go to Psalm 51. Psalm 51. What is the will of the Father? Psalm 51. This is when David, of course, he killed Uriah. He slept with Bathsheba. What does David say? I started in verse 4. He said, against thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, or when you speak, and be clear when you judge. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Verse 6, here we go. Behold, thou desirest, or you desire, speaking to Yah, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Stop. Let's break that one verse down. Verse 6, behold, you desire truth in the inward parts. When you look at Yah's will, or what it means for somebody to have a will, it is their preference, it is their desire. That's what it means, the will means. You can look at that in the Hebrew. In this verse or in any other verse, the desire, or when you look at the word will in the Tanakh, in the Old Testament, in the prophets, the word will is connected to desire or pleasure. So in verse 6, when we see it says, behold, thou desirest, or you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part, thou shalt make me to know wisdom. This is what David said to Yah. I know you want truth in my inward parts, and in my inner man, you will make me to know wisdom. Okay? This is what David is praying to Yah. So what is truth? Psalm 119, verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Thy Torah is truth. Okay? Psalm 119, 151. What does that say? Psalm 119, 151. Thou art near, O Yah, and all thy commandments are truth. Okay? So it says the law or the Torah is truth, and his commandments are truth. So when David is praying this to Yah, he's sinned against Yah. Sin is the transgression of the truth, or sin is the transgression of the law. So when David is praying this, behold, you desire truth, you desire your law, you desire your commandments in my inward parts. And in the hidden part, you shall make me to know wisdom. Okay? Is that not what the new covenant is? Him putting the law or the Torah on our hearts and in our minds. Jeremiah 31, 31 through 34. And then it's reiterated in the book of Hebrews, chapter 8 and chapter 10, right? He desires truth in the inward parts. That's Yah's will. That's Yah's will. Psalm 40. Psalm 40. Let's go to the book of Psalm chapter 40. Telehim. Psalm chapter 40, verse 8, it says, 7 and 8, Psalm 40. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my Elohim. Yea, thy law, thy Torah is in my heart. So what was David praying in Psalm 51? Show me truth, or you want truth in my inward parts. And in the hidden part, you will make me to know wisdom. And we know in the book of Deuteronomy 4, he says, when we keep his commands, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, when we keep his commands, his statutes and judgments, that all the nations will be like, okay, this is a wise and an understanding people. He said that would be our wisdom. Okay? So when David prayed that in Psalm 51, he's praying this way because he knows the will of Yah. You want truth in my inward parts, and in my inward man, you're going to make me know wisdom. Your law, Deuteronomy 4. Okay? Beautiful. Praise Yah. Beautiful. All glory to him. Praise Yah. So now that we got that, what the truth is, his commands, his Torah, his law, and that he wants it in the inward parts, let's look at what it means to be a true man or a true woman. Let's look at some verses. And we must look at our Savior, because he is true. He is the truth. He is the truth. All right, let's go to John chapter 7, and we're going to go to some other places. Let's look at him first, because he is the perfect example. John chapter 7. John chapter 7, verse 18. John chapter 7, verse 18, it says, he that speaketh, or he that speaks of himself, seeketh or seeks his own glory, but he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. So the Messiah says, he who speaks of himself seeks his own glory, but he who seeks the glory of him that sent him, seeking the Father's glory and the Father's glory alone, the same man or the same woman is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. John 7, verse 18. So to seek out the Father's glory, to seek Yah's glory first, this is what it means to be true. This is what it means to be a true man. It's to do everything for the Father's glory. Let's go to John 8. One chapter over, John chapter 8. John chapter 8, starting at verse 47, he was speaking to the Pharisees. John chapter 8, verse 47, he that is of Elohim heareth Elohim's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of Elohim. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, Say we not well that thou art a Samaritan and has a devil? Or say we not well that you are a Samaritan and you have a devil? Verse 49, Yeshua answered, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. Verse 50, and I seek not my own glory. There is one that seeketh and judgeth. He says, I don't have a devil. Verse 49, I honor my Father. Verse 50, I seek not my own glory. What does it mean to be a man of Yah, or a true man, or a true woman? Seeking to honor the Father. Verse 50, when Yeshua said, I seek not my own glory. Yehoshua said, I seek not my own glory. That's what it means to be a man or a woman of Yah, or a true man, as it says so many times in that Genesis 42, which we're still expounding upon. Okay? A true man. Let's go to John chapter 11 now. John chapter 11. Starting at verse 1. We'll read 1 through 4. Now a certain man was sick, named Lazarus, of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary which anointed the master, or the Adon, with ointment, and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Master, Adon, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick, or he who you love is sick. Verse 4. When Yeshua heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of Elohim, that the Son of Elohim might be glorified thereby. Why does he do anything? Why did the Messiah do anything? This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of Elohim. John 11, verse 4, he pointed everything to Yah's glory. I do this for Yah's glory. I do this for Yah's honor. That's what it means to be a true man. We see this in our Savior, doing all things for the glory of Yah. And we know Paul said in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31, whatever we eat, drink, or do all to the glory of Yah. That's number one, what it means to be a true man. And we know, of course, the keeping of Yah's commandments, it gives him honor. It gives him glory. Okay, but we see this in the Messiah. That was his life. That was his mind. That was his mind. We're to follow after him. We're to follow after him. Okay, let's go to 1 Timothy now. The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 6. What does it mean to be a true man? 1 Timothy, chapter 6. 1 Timothy, chapter 6. And we'll be beginning at verse 1. In 1 Timothy, chapter 6, it says, Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of Elohim and his doctrine be not blasphemed. And they that have believing masters, let them not despise them, because they are brethren, but rather do them service, because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. Verse 3, watch this. 1 Timothy 6, verse 3. If any man teach otherwise, and consent not to the wholesome words, even the words of our master, our Adon, Yeshua HaMashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness. Verse 6, it says, or holiness. Verse 3, it says, if any man teach otherwise and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Adon, our master, Yeshua HaMashiach, Yehoshua HaMashiach. Okay, what are his wholesome words? We can look at the Beatitudes. Think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I've come not to destroy, but to fulfill. To heaven and earth pass. That's some of his the beginnings of his wholesome words. The doctrine, which is according to godliness or holiness. We know, blessed are the poor. We see the Beatitudes, how they start off. Blessed is this, blessed is this, blessed is that, blessed is that, blessed is that, blessed is that. Think not that I've come to destroy. These are the wholesome words. If any man teach otherwise, and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our master, Yeshua HaMashiach. What does it mean to be a true man or a true woman? To consent to the wholesome words of the Messiah, to teach his words. Because he says right here, if any man teach otherwise, in verse 4 it says, he is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words. Okay, if any man teach otherwise, we're supposed to teach the same things that our Savior taught. He taught the ways of the Father in context, rightly interpreted. Beautiful. Okay, we see all these things. We see all these things. Let's go back to Genesis 42 now. We'll be closing up after this last point. Genesis 42. After all these things began to happen, the famine came. Joseph said these things. Joseph goes to his dad, 21 through like 29. He tells them what's going on about the corn and that he needs the son. He needs to bring back Benjamin so they can take the brothers out of the prison. And Jacob says something very interesting. He says something very interesting. Because Jacob, at this point, they're asking to have Benjamin back, to show Benjamin to Joseph so that they can get their other brothers out of prison. We're going to start in verse 29, but we'll be emphasizing on verse 36. And it says, "And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the master of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man of the master of the country said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that you are no spies, but that ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid." Verse 36, watch this. "And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have you bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and you will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me." So all this stuff is happening to Jacob, and Jacob is like, all this is against me. But he's right in the middle of YAH'S will. He's saying all these things are against me, but he's in the middle of YAH'S will. Do we not see our lives in this? We could think all these things are against me. Man, this happened. This happened. This happened. All these things are against me. All those things are for you. Right? Joseph is the one who's going to provide the corn. That's his son. He doesn't know it yet, but this is YAH'S will. Sometimes we don't know YAH'S will. And it's a verse that I meditated on so long. I spoke with a brother of mine about it, because this is how, and it speaks to me of the sovereignty of Yah. And it is Psalm 77, verse 19. I'm going to read it slow. Psalm 77, verse 19. "Thy way is in the sea, and thy path in the great waters, and thy footsteps are not known." Your way is in the sea, and your path in the great waters, and your footsteps are not known. Sometimes we do not know Yah's footsteps, but his path is in the sea. We know he's a deliverer. We know he told Moses to lift up the staff and part, he told him to get the staff and part the sea. Thy way is in the sea. We see your power. We see that you can deliver, but your footsteps are not known. We wanted to go back to Egypt. I didn't know you were leading me. What are we going to do? We're right here in front of the water. Where can we go? We can't go back. They're chasing us. We can't look that way. Can't go that way. We can only look up. We can only look up. Thy way is in the sea, and thy path in the great waters, and your footsteps are not known. Okay, so when Jacob said that in verse 36, all these things are against me. He's really right smack dab in the will of Yah. He's in Yah's will right here. He does not know it as of yet. That's my son. That's Joseph. That's my son. Oh, we're about to be provided for. Oh, my son really is not going to die. Oh, Yah, you were there the whole time. The whole time. Does he not do this in our lives? All these things so that we may be conformed to the image of his son, that we may endure trials, that we may be true men and women, that we may give him glory in all that we do and be blessed while doing it. I pray this blessed you. I really do. It blessed me even going through it and looking at it now. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Shalom Aleichem.